It shouldn't be this hard to do good in this world. Like, it should not be this hard to figure out how to do good. So we need to just put all of our eggs in one basket that we think makes the most sense here and give it everything we have and either go down swinging or come out and be much more successful than we have been.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Startup Wisconsin podcast, a show where you can learn about Wisconsin's growing tech scene through stories of startups, founders, investors, and the talented people making it all happen. Today I'm talking with Jillian Bichanich, a Wisconsin-born founder and builder who's building and growing two startups at the same time. Jillian is the co-founder of Cubbi, a free app supporting families navigating disabilities with tools for managing the overwhelming paperwork, appointments, and care. Jillian is also the founder of Pocketchange, a new and upcoming platform she calls the anti-Amazon that helps consumers shop based on their values while giving visibility to local, underrepresented, and purpose-driven businesses. This conversation covers the reality of bootstrapping, why following what feels alive has been her guiding principle, and the human side of entrepreneurship. Jillian gets honest about facing rejection, the wind tunnel of chaos that almost broke her, and why she believes entrepreneurship is just a mirror of your human essence. All right, folks, let's get into it. You've built not one, but two mission-driven startups. You have Cubbi and you have Pocketchange, but I kind of want to start with Cubbi chronologically. I think that makes the most sense. So do you want to tell me or tell us about, what is Cubbi and how you've grown it as a startup?
Yeah, absolutely. So Cubbi is probably the biggest labor of love of my entire life. It is an app for parents and families who are navigating the world of special education, navigating the world of disabilities. And so what it does is it helps parents and caretakers really come in and document anything and everything that matters to them. It might be IEPs from school reports or evaluations. It might be medical reports. They can bring everything into one place. They can share it with their family team, track appointments, track tasks, even track the mood of their children to check for everything from eating disorders to depression to anxiety to medications. And yeah, it's just it's a really beautiful way for families to be able to track right now, which is usually in a lot of disparate places.
Yeah, what does that look like before Cubbi, I guess? What were people doing? As an example, I'm sure there's a lot of different situations, but maybe an example of something that people have found wow, we used to do it this way and this is so much better.
Yeah, it's boxes and boxes of bins. I have no idea how. I don't know how in 2025 it still is bins of paperwork, but that is what parents are navigating right now. So typically what happens in the education systems is they are still manually printing off different reports, different plans, different evaluations, and handing it to the parents. And then those parents are expected to understand the lingo, understand what's happening in the reports. And for children who are in the special education system specifically, they are then having continual meetings about that documentation. So parents are bringing in truthfully binders and bins. Maybe some have tried to scan and upload it somewhere else, but it's a really difficult thing to manage if you're not doing it in something that was built for the needs of these types of appointments.
Okay. What have been kind of some of the big kind of I guess jumps or progress or growth with Cubbi? Because obviously there was the beginning stages of it, but where have you kind of seen the bigger kind of changes in growth happen?
Yes, this is probably, I was going to say it's an interesting story, but I feel like this is actually so common with founders. So the way that Cubbi initially began was with a co-founder of mine. Her name is Christine. She's the one who's really lived this experience with her daughter. She explains it beautifully. She walked in one day and pretty much walked out, and her daughter had 8 diagnoses. And she explains it like she was dropped in the middle of a foreign country. She had no friends, didn't know the currency, didn't know the language, had no support, no community, nowhere to go. And she was like, there has to be a different and better way. So when we initially started, and there's kind of more to that I can come to, but the whole point of your question, where we started was we're going to go talk to some investors. We're going to raise capital for this. We're going to blow this out of the water. It's 1 in 5 children right now have some form of neurodivergence or potentially a physical disability or a different disability that they're working through. So this affects a mass amount of people in the United States. We were like, something has to exist. Found out it didn't exist. So we decided we were going to go build it. And we had this vision mainly based on how fundraising had been for me at every other company I'd ever been at. Had this vision that we were like going to just walk into some companies and come out. We were going to have like, a couple million in capital, like go ahead, build this right, do all the things. And so for probably a good year of our life, like we did the grind. We were in different pitch like competitions. We had tried to knock down every door. And it was incredibly surprising to me how much we were able to project in revenue, in our purpose, our mission, in the team, in the tech platform, in the feedback we had already gotten, the research we had done. We didn't ever break down that door. And so Christine and I were like, we have to do this just a completely different way. Like we have to go figure this out. We're not going to leave our mission up to the hands of people that aren't here with us. And so we did something completely different. We ended up getting like $13,000 from someone begging us and built the platform, like the MVP, pushed it out to parents. That was like the first big milestone. We then ended up getting picked up by some mom influencers. That was the second big milestone for us. We had waves of parents talking about how important this was. We got picked up out in the UK because this is absolutely like a global problem.
Sure.
And then most recently, about a month ago, we were able to make Cubbi free. So when we initially created it, it was a paid app. It was the only way we could keep the lights on in bootstrapping the company. But about a month ago, we were able to make it free because of sponsors, corporate sponsors and missions and brands who really want to stand behind what we're building. And so I think those, for me, those are like the top three in the evolution of that company that have really meant something to me.
Yeah. Was there a specific point where you kind of realized, oh, maybe the revenue model should be sponsor based versus just asking users to pay for it? Like, how did that conversation kind of happen, I guess?
Yeah. When we started, we were like, we're going to have like, you get a revenue model, you get a revenue model. We were going to work with schools. We were going to work with parents themselves. We have providers that also come into our directory that parents can access. So we had providers that we were thinking were going to come in, and then sponsors. And it was really hard for us as two women, like moms, also trying to live our lives, to try to figure out and perfect all of those revenue streams. It just didn't work. Someone would call us this day and it'd be all hands on deck. And then we'd have a huge partnership meeting with a potential someone else. And then an investor would creep back in. I feel like we were ping pong all over the place, trying to just figure out what could stick, because we knew if we could just get a certain amount of capital, it was game over. We were like, at that point, we know exactly what we need to spend. We knew like who we needed to hire, who we didn't need to hire. But for us, I think it was more actually around this last holiday season. So this last holiday season, it was about December. It was like frigid cold. Christine had visited. She lives in Connecticut. She's actually moving here just next week. But
nice.
And we were both just in this space of, it shouldn't be this hard to do good in this world. Like it should not be this hard to figure out how to do good. So we need to just put all of our eggs in one basket that we think makes the most sense here, and give it, like, again, everything we have, and either go down swinging or come out and be much more successful than we have been. And so we started talking to some of the early providers that had believed in us and come into our directory, started opening ourselves up to more of these corporate sponsors and brands. And we found just a few incredible brands. There's brands out there who do a lot for nice publicity. And then there's people who you start meeting their VP and executive team, and they truly care about taking their wealth and their financial resources and making the world a better place. And we were very lucky, grateful, resourceful, all of the above, blessed, I don't know, to land and find some people that we were really able to work with. So Aerofoliarology ended up being our first like big partner that came on. And once that happened, our entire model got to shift. That's where we got to make the app free, like I said, which is something we always wanted. And
yeah.
I feel like it's kind of that analogy where people say like it takes that one first domino to fall and everything else starts to land. And as a founder, when those dominoes haven't moved yet and you're like staring at them and you feel like everything's kind of wobbly, it's a weird place to be in. But we kept going, and I'm really grateful that we did.
Yeah, that's great. So I actually want to go back, like, is Cubbi your first like startup, like as a founder, like a co-founder, should say?
Yes, as a founder, yes. I had often been kind of like the right hand to other founders, but for me to personally go all in, Cubbi was the first. Yes.
Yeah. I want to talk about that. Like, how did you get connected with your co-founder? How did that relationship happen? And then was there like a moment where you're like, I'm going to take the jump and the leap and like make this happen?
Yeah, divine intervention probably. So no, I was the last 9 to 5 that I had was a custom tech company, and we built a lot of different like applications, and then we also did a lot of security analysis and kind of consulting for early stage companies. And Christine had actually come to the company with this concept, this idea, and it was not something that the founder and CEO of the company that I was with really believed in. He didn't necessarily see how it would work, how it would function, if it would really take off. And so, me, again, as kind of like a woman and mom, all I could see was Christine's fire. Like that for me, I am all about people's inner soul and what they work for and what they intend. And I believe that good people who show up every day and keep trying to do better and create big things, like I believe eventually it's going to click and it's going to work. So I had asked my CEO at the time, like, hey, do you mind if I just help her on the side? I was helping her with a pitch deck, minor things. It'll be on my time. I'll figure this out. And I just want to help her. I want to help her see this through. And so from there, I did. I helped her with a variety of things. She had named me like VP of partnerships at one point when we were starting to talk. And then we had hit a point probably 6 to 8 months in, and she was just like, at this point, we're co-founders. Like we have done this whole thing together. You've been here since the beginning, maybe in a different way than I expected. Like, what can we go do? And so, yeah, I think that's kind of like the point where I was like, okay, like if for me, entrepreneurship, it fell into my lap a little bit. And maybe I'm not giving myself enough credit because at one end, if you look at my entire history, my professional history, I've led like every department you can think of inside of a company. So I had a very well-rounded understanding of business and of companies and early stage startup companies and employee number one, right? All of those things. And I think that this was just a divine way where I was led to be able to say, you're meant to do bigger things and we're going to give you a silver platter. And it's like, it's up to you now, like if you're going to take it and run with it. And we did.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. How do you guys share responsibilities today? Like, what does that look like compared to in the beginning?
Yeah, I know there's so many kind of terrifying co-founder stories,
Sure.
and people probably all say it when they're in like the happy land, but we've gone through the depths of hell over these last few years, and I have quite literally never had a better working partnership. So Christine has this really unique skill set where she's been in the special education realm. Like she's navigated that space for years. She actually has helped numerous families at this point win over about $15 million in outplacement and support for their children. Like she has fought the fight for families who are really working through a difficult system. I, on the other hand, am like the tech, the finance, the marketing, the business side of things. So we've never, not once fought. We have definitely disagreed about how to move forward in something, but it's been such a respectful relationship. Like she's quite literally my best friend. I mean, she's moving like a half mile down the road from me. So we have been really lucky, I think, to have really different backgrounds and kind of found a really unique way to say, hey, typically founders are like, you need your tech person and your finance person, or your people person and your back end person. But for us, we had very different skill sets than are traditionally, I think, used in kind of a co-founder relationship. And it just worked, and it still works. I'm so, so grateful that my first experience was, it was like everything else can be feeling like a dumpster fire at times, but like me and her were really tight in the whole experience.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I've heard horror stories myself as well. Yeah. And it's a little bit of like, one, like being the right kind of person for her too. Like, hey, have a sense of, empathy and understanding, and like also knowing yourself as a person and your flaws and like forgiveness and all that kind of stuff. All those things kind of go into play. And if you both have that, it just makes it a lot easier. But also dividing and conquering, which you said, hey, these are your strengths. Like, this is where you should play. These are my strengths. Here's where I'm going to play. This totally makes sense and it's going to work. So that's awesome.
I love that you say that, because I feel like I've always felt like entrepreneurship in this way is just a mirror of your human essence. Like we talk about business and we talk about personal, and then everyone and their brothers talks about like work-life balance. And it always feels like you have these two sides that you're trying to figure out. But I've never seen it that way. Like, I don't feel like that's how it is. I feel like we are our human selves and our businesses are this amplification of who we already are as people. So you saying that actually, like, that hits very deeply with me, because I feel like, kind of to the beginning of what I said, like, you're a good person, your businesses in general, like, you have a good concept, you pay attention to your customers, you pay attention to your mission. I believe, generally speaking, again, like, you're going to do well, or you're going to learn whatever it was you're intended to learn, or you're going to get all the tools needed for the next big thing that you do. But like, yeah, I like that a lot.
Oh, great. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just sharing what I'm thinking through, and I'm glad it resonated with you for
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
It's funny because now I'm like thinking through the question I wanted to ask was around, before we get into Pocket Change, I wanted to talk about like your mindset around running two companies at the same time. Like, how do you stay grounded and focused? How do you maintain energy levels? All that kind of stuff. We kind of talked about it on our first call together. I'm just kind of curious how you think about that.
So I will be so honest, like, I didn't realize like no one does this. Like, I feel like not many people are trying to start and run two companies at the same time. And I'm kind of glad that I didn't, I don't know, explore that, like discover that, look at stats of that. Because for me, the way that I feel really grounded, the way that I keep everything like on straight and I can move in all the ways, is I'm kind of notorious for saying that I follow what feels alive. And so I know from an outside perspective, there's all of these things that you could start to say. Well, like, okay, what does that mean? Like, so if one is starting to take and be more successful, you put all your energy there and the other just sits, or you're bored with one, so you take up the other. That's not what I mean. It's more like, as you can probably see from like my last example of this weird people trying to navigate like a 50-50 balance. I don't believe that's ever how anything is. I don't believe that's how we are in workouts, we are in relationships, we are in our finances. Like, for me, life is this big wavy WTF moment of like spiral. And sometimes it's really high. Other times you have no idea what's going on. Sometimes you're hitting a low. But for me, I think I spent a lot of my life being a class A perfectionist, a class A people pleaser. I was like valedictorian of my high school. I got 5 college degrees. Like, I did everything that I thought I was supposed to do. And when I would force things or try to bring things in where the timing wasn't right, or the people weren't right, or I wasn't in the right space of my life, it never worked. And I would spin out, wasting a lot of energy. And so for me, I know some people live on like time blocking and making sure, and they might say, okay, like Cubbi gets my mornings, Pocket Change gets my afternoons, but that's not the reality of it. I mean, I might go 24 hours working almost nonstop on Cubbi, and then spend the next 2 business days working on Pocket Change because of when things are scheduled and how things are flowing, or when things get a little bit of a pause. It hasn't been difficult for me. I think instead it has completely lit me up. I've had learnings in both spaces that have helped the other company tremendously, like help us not have problems or little blocks that we would have had to break through, because I already learned and figured it out within the other, regardless of which came first. I've made so many cool connections in one of them that has helped in the other, like design teams, development teams, incredible like support people who have been called to one mission but have helped us with another. So for me, it's like this, I don't know, it's just like this cool universe of incredible people all trying to do good. And that might look different on each day. But when you look at the missions of both, it's really about trying to help people be visible, like help people get support, help people be seen with power, with money, with resources that don't typically get that, and doing something about it. So I don't feel like it's the same as me being like, I have an in-person ice cream shop and like a online e-commerce swimsuit brand, like they feel so together for me.
Sure. Yeah. When you decided to kind of like commit to building or going after and start Pocket Change, was there a conversation that you had with your co-founder where you're like, hey, I'm really serious about launching this other thing. I just want you to know, like, I guess, how did you kind of like have that conversation, or was she always kind of like, she always kind of knew it was going to happen at some point? I'm just kind of curious, like, how you're balancing
Yeah.
commitments to Cubby and then just her knowing that, like, hey, you're going to be doing this thing too.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious. Yeah.
No, that's a good question. So I was definitely nervous for that conversation. But the reason that I was the most nervous is because Christine and Cubby mean truthfully so much to me. Like you, if anyone in my life, they know me, like this matters significantly to me. And I never wanted it to feel that I was up and leaving or that there was some hidden agenda or plan. Like once one hits a certain spot, I'm going to go all in on that. The really cool thing about Christine is her and I have often joked that we're really good at birthing companies. Like we have ideas, we see patterns, we see things that should exist before they exist. And so when I came to her with Pocket Change and I was a little nervous and I was trying to talk to her like, hey, from the depth of my soul, I'm telling you straight up, I can do both of these things. She was not only so supportive, she was like, okay, how do I help sell this? Like, how do I help do you need me to go? Like, she's got like a green thumb with press. She's like, do you want me to go get some press? Like, how can we amplify what you're doing here? She could not be more excited about this launch. When she comes in, her daughter is helping like watch my kids for all this other press that I have. It's so like the egos aren't here. The egos are not in the building. You know what I mean? It's like,
Sure.
we're here and I don't think there is any piece of her own heart that would be able to see what I'm building in Pocket Change and say like, oh no, please don't. Like, please don't go do this. Please don't go put your time here because both of them are really worthy causes.
Today's episode is brought to you by Headway, a digital product agency based in Wisconsin. Do you need to design and build a world-class user experience for your software, but feeling like you just can't get there on your own? That's where Headway comes in. We're the folks who help ambitious startups and enterprise teams bring their product ideas to life through design, development, and product strategy. We don't just give you user interface designs and leave you to figure out the rest. We work with you and your target customers to create beautiful user experiences, build scalable design systems, and provide Silicon Valley level talent to get it done right the first time. Whether you're launching a new software or just looking to add features, we've got your back. We've worked with startups in industries like logistics, healthcare, fintech, and edtech, helping them solve their biggest software challenges. And here's the thing, no matter how complex your product is, we can help you gain clarity and get the job done together. We're so confident that we'll be the right fit that we offer a 50% money-back guarantee if you don't think we're working out within the first 45 days. Ready to see how we can help you and your team? Just head over to headway.io and book a free consultation today. So tell me about Pocket Change. Like, what is it? What does it do? Who's it going to help? Like, what does it look like?
So Pocket Change at its core is like a values-based shopping app. The whole point of it is for users, consumers, to be able to go download the app and really easily find anything that they're looking for. This could be a pancake cafe down the block. It could be a business marketing agency. It could be like a new pair of jeans, and be able to search for companies that match their values and alignments. So that could be something like Black owned, LGBTQ+. It could be veteran owned, made in the USA, companies that give back to children or the earth or are union based, or maybe they employ previously incarcerated humans. Maybe, whatever. There's 40 categories that allow people to really say, hey, I'm going to acknowledge that money is power. Like, I think a lot of people don't like when I say that, and it's true. Like, money is power. It can get you in spaces. It can get you resources. And so therefore, I'm going to take my dollars and I'm going to put it towards companies that back the beliefs, the values, the missions that I believe in. Pocket Change is not here to tell anyone what to believe in. It's here to say, we care that you have morals, that you have an opinion, that you have values, and we're going to help you spend it. I have a unique kind of history out in Silicon Valley where I learned a lot about the world's largest social media platforms. I'm talking like 17 of the world's largest platforms, Russian, like China, American, whatever. And I learned a lot about the algorithms. I learned a lot about visibility and like what's seen, what's not seen, who gets pushed, who doesn't. And it's very, very hard for value-based companies, for underrepresented founders, for small businesses, to be really seen anywhere. We have people who are spending a quarter of their week trying to make viral social media content and not getting anywhere. And it's
Mhm.
because the systems truthfully aren't built for them. So Pocket Change helps the consumer, but just as much, if not more, it helps all of these very specific businesses actually be found in a world that doesn't make it easy yet. Launching soon, but yet. Yeah.
Yeah. What is the launch date so far, right? That you've planned, I guess.
Yeah, like the first day of August.
All
We're
right. All
just
right. Very
right
cool.
around the corner.
Awesome.
It's been in the making for about a year. I bootstrapped the whole thing, was trying to pour any little dollar I could scrape up everywhere to make it a reality. And yeah, now that we're so close, it's kind of surreal. It's really cool. I'm excited.
Yeah. How did you approach the bootstrapping aspect of it? Like, did you hire a developer? I'm kind of curious, like how, or did you kind of do some stuff like vibe coding things together? I'm kind of curious, like how you kind of approached building the MVP.
If you would have talked to me 3 months ago, I would have vibe coded my life away.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
like last May, it wasn't as easy to do that. And
Yeah.
I am a little bit of it's either to my downfall or maybe it's a brilliant piece of me. But I, especially with tech, I am not the one that loves to like throw out the crappy MVP that doesn't look super great. Like for
Mm.
me, I think that the consumer experience, I just really believe in like a good flow and a good understanding, and put this button here for a reason and don't put it here for a reason. So I actually started a little bit backwards. I started with the branding. I had this concept for Pocket Change. I got legal, all of my legal team. We literally waited until like midnight 01 to go grab the trademark for Pocket Change because someone else's was ending. It was, again,
Oh,
I feel like
wow.
Brian has just like kept me where I need to go. And then I started with a design team that eventually moved into creating the entire Figma. It was like a 9-month process where we really went deep in certain feature sets. There's things I haven't brought up, but like spending challenges where we can do local spending challenges and say, hey, Madison area, let's all try to spend 10% of our purchases with local business or
Mhm.
like women owned business or whatever it might be. So there's a lot of really cool things in the app that are going to help people not only find who they're looking for, but really enjoy it. Like start to understand that if we all band together, 5% of the United States spending right now is $400 billion. Like if we took 5 of our $100 and put it towards something we cared about, Pocket Change would help move $400 billion a year to values-based, like mission-led companies. So yeah, we went through this whole kind of experience with it, but I got to the point where like my checking account would be at like $2. And then could be like, what do I do now? Like I have to know, I have this beautiful thing, I have to develop it. And out of nowhere, I would like something would come in and the money would be there and I would keep going. And so
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, like I said, back to the flow. Like I'm just very trusting that things land when they're supposed to.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. I'm actually kind of curious around your experience, like being a founder in Madison and in Wisconsin in general. I guess what do you love about like building something in Madison, and what is it? Is it a special feeling for you, or I'm just kind of curious what you've had experiences with?
I love Madison, like with my full heart. I moved out to the Twin Cities for a while. And then when I was working out in Silicon Valley, I was practically living between Vegas and Redwood City. And so I was going back and forth in all these places. And when I was pregnant with my first daughter, I just knew I needed to come back to Wisconsin. Like there's
Mm.
something about Wisconsin and the values here and the people and the kindness that brought me back. And I am so glad that I'm here, especially as I'm navigating these two companies. Because for me, I think there's just something different. I think a lot of the landscape of tech and of entrepreneurship, it's really become closed gate. That's what I feel. Like I feel like it's really hard now. There's a lot of gatekeepers. There's a lot of doors that are closed. I think things have really shifted from even 10 years ago when I was in this space. I feel like people were a lot more maybe approachable. And in other areas of the world, I now agree with this, right? Where it feels kind of locked. But I think Madison has this really unique energy about it where almost anyone will take your call. Like anyone will hear you out. And even if something isn't a good fit, they're the first to introduce you to 5 other people. And I'm so grateful for that. Like I've been talking with some of the chambers here, some of the other organizations that are more nonprofits, but that help small businesses or targeted founders. And it's just been so cool when you get on a call similar to how you and I were, where you're like, oh, you're a good person. Like you're cool. Like I could go, right? Like I could go hang out and we'd be cool. And I feel like that's just the vibe here. And I really appreciate that.
Yeah, that's great. Have you ever like been a part of any of the local meetups or, like Starting Block has events and stuff like that there? Are you part of the ecosystem in that format at all?
So I haven't gone to like Starting Block specifically in those events, but I have been to some of the like tech happy hours that have, happened, and some of the like founder weekends and weeks where people go through. And I think that they're so cool. I think it's incredible how many brilliant, driven, resourceful humans we have here. Like I feel like it's unrivaled. Like you can say what you want about New York City or Austin or like I said, Silicon Valley, but there's something different here. I feel like we're really holistic in our approach to business, if that makes sense. It's like maybe we all don't have like Harvard law degrees or worked at Meta as its 7th employee, but
Sure.
we've had such a intricate web of, I don't know, like ups and downs and different roles and wearing all of these hats. And I think when you put us all in that like jumbled up like bingo machine and you start throwing the balls out, like we just have a different approach to life that I am very fortunate to be in and fortunate to know.
Yeah. Is there like anything like if you had a magic wand and like, oh, I wish Madison had more of this, or I wish that this doesn't exist, I wish it did exist. Is there anything like that where you feel like, especially in your position as as a founder or a serial entrepreneur, anything around that at all? I guess I'm curious.
So I think if you would have asked me at the beginning of my whole journey, I think more risk-willing investors would have been awesome at the time. But it's interesting because hindsight's 2020. And when I look back, like I'm so glad we didn't get that check. Like I'm so glad it wasn't that easy. Like I'm so glad we had to fight for things and figure them out in a different way. I know I mentioned to you outside of this podcast that I really love what you all are doing because I think that there's this need for connection in a real way. I think it's easy sometimes for people to say, hey, go get drinks at this event or, go throw yourself on this list. But there's a difference when people really take care and take meaning into how they can truly support each other, connect each other, take like a personal place in being a part of the story. And maybe the last thing I would say as part of that is just like more storytelling. I think that there's incredible people in not only Madison, but Milwaukee and the entire state. And sometimes I meet people who are doing just incredible things. I have companies and businesses that are coming into Pocketchange, and I hear what they've built and who they are and what they've overcame in their life. And I'm just like, the whole world needs to know who you are. But I don't know if we have enough storytelling. And that's why I'm really grateful for things like this, where we can all share the stories, because on the outside, we all have like aesthetic Instagram feeds and whatever else. And it feels like everything's so perfect. And then you have people that talk about their adversity, but usually they only talk about it once they've hit the big at the end. And I think there's something so real about being able to say, yesterday was one of the crappiest days I've had in business, but like showed up today and everything is turned, but like keep going and trust yourself because it's just not a linear path.
Yeah. What do you feel like was a struggle for you when you were just working on Cubbi, like the beginning stages of that? And just around some of the conversations with that, like whether it's like, hey, should we raise more funding? Should we try to just figure out more revenue? Like, do you wish there would have been like a local resource for that? Or or maybe like, oh, now that I know that it exists, I wish I would have known about it before. Was there anything kind of like that for you?
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think I had this moment where I started to feel a little small. Like you get like a million no's, and then you start to say to yourself, is this like, I don't know if I can swear, like, am I batshit crazy? Like, do we just have this vision that no one actually cares about, even though people keep telling us we've done all these surveys, all of this data mining, but are we nuts? Like, are we that crazy that we think this thing can go not only where it can go, but I think it was always really heart-led for us. Like, it was so important for us to help people. And you start to get in this wind tunnel where for me, like, thankfully I had a co-founder in this space, but it's like, I felt like we were both just like holding on to each other, like in this wind tunnel of chaos, hearing no, you don't have this, there's not that, where's this, can't invest here. Or more often than not, we would just get ghosted. It wasn't actually no's. And even to this day, like those people still like creep on our profiles. We're like, yeah, like we told you, we told you this was going to go somewhere, not out of spite or ego, but out of a way to say, I wish you would just bet on people who maybe don't look like your typical bet. Because there's a lot to be said for people who have something to prove and for people who really care with their heart and soul about what they're doing. And yeah, I would love, like, if there was a space that was like, hey, every Friday at 4, like people come pitch what they're doing and they get feedback or they understand what you're going to have to navigate that you don't really know. And, we're all here to just help each other. Some days you give a little, others you take a little, or I'm sorry. Yeah. Give and take. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like that would be incredible. I
Mm-hmm.
think that would be an incredible place because otherwise you're living on a hope and a dream and your sanity and assuming you know what you're talking about and like crossing your fingers and being like, all right, we'll see where we're at in a year.
Yeah. I would encourage you actually to go to Starting Block because they actually on Wednesdays have you ever heard of 1 Million Cups?
No.
They're a national like meetup and there's different chapters in different cities. And there's one in Madison and they host it at Starting Block on Wednesdays in the morning. And it's exactly what you're sharing.
Okay, that's so cool.
It's a dedicated time for people to share their story. Here's my startup story, or here's my idea, and it's the opportunity for the give and the take, just like you said. I would encourage you to actually like go and say, hey, I would love to talk about my experience with Cubbi or like maybe Pocketchange is a separate opportunity to speak.
Right.
Obviously, they kind of have want other folks to have the opportunity to speak, but I think it'd be great because one, there's probably a lot more people more like yourself, whether they're women or first-time founders, where it's like, I'm trying to find someone that's like me that's done this before.
Yeah.
And who can I talk to? And you could be a great example of that for people. So
no, I would love to do that. Thank you for sharing that. Wednesday mornings.
Yeah, just go to the Starting Block website and you'll find 1 Million Cups under their, I don't remember if it's the events tab or resources or something. It's one of those tabs, but you'll find their events and stuff. Or I think it's a community tab maybe.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely check that out. I encourage you to do that. But yeah, I think that's great. It's just funny. You were explaining, and I was like, I'm pretty sure that already exists. But the problem is, like,
we don't know about it.
Yeah, if you don't know about it, like, it's hard. So, but I would love to see you share your story and share your experiences with people there. And you never know, there might be something that you have a challenge with, and someone might be able to help you out. So.
Absolutely.
Who knows? The give and the take. So what's next? Like, so you have Pocketchange launching. Is there anything next for Cubbi? Like, I'm kind of curious, like what the next 6 months kind of looks like for you.
Yeah. So you're the first to hear it. Actually, we're super excited. So with Cubbi, I had mentioned that we brought in different providers. So when I say provider, what that means is like that could be a speech pathologist, it could be a nanny, it could be an adaptive like dance center or a sleep coach. It's really any person or service that can support these families. And we had when we had our directory and still have it, we would be asking people to come in and pay to be a part of that directory. And that was also funding why, the way that we were able to give it to all of our users. But we're really excited that we're actually going to introduce a pay what you want or pay what you can model for all of our providers. What we found is there are a lot of providers and nonprofits and different organizations and associations who are doing a lot for these families, but maybe don't have the funds or aren't actually taking in revenue. And we want to make sure that they can get in our directory, be seen regardless of their revenue. And we've also found on the flip side of that there has been powerhouse brands and corporations and companies or even individual people who are really just bought into changing the landscape of Cubbi or changing the landscape of that world and want to be able to give more in different ways. So our entire model is changing and we're asking people, anyone and everyone that offers services, they can all be in and they can pay whatever they want and whatever they have and think, the service is of value to them. And we're doing something a little bit different in the lands.
Wow, that's awesome. Congrats on all the progress and all that stuff. That'll be amazing. Awesome.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. We have about 100 businesses that have come in thus far. Again, I feel like they've kind of fallen into my lap. We haven't done any external outreach, but we're we're just so excited. We're excited to be able to say, hey, at one point I was like, oh my gosh, I probably shouldn't say I'm the anti-Amazon, but that is exactly what we are. We're this space that says it's really important to make sure companies can all play and that they don't have to, give up 40% of their product to a large shark in the game that's not really doing what they should, in my opinion, for the businesses, for the founders. And we're going to flip things on its head. And hopefully when I talk to you in a year about this one too,
Yeah.
we're in a good space. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. We'll kind of retrospectively look back at the launch and things like that and the progress. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Now I think we can wrap things up. I'm just kind of curious where, listeners that are hearing your entire story here, how they can get connected with you. Is LinkedIn a good place to reach out or?
Yeah, I love LinkedIn. My DMs are always open. Like if you are someone who heard any piece of this and you feel called in any way to either what we're building or maybe you're doing something that's like really trying to make the world a better place, or you're just working on something cool, you want to say hi, like I love DMs. I will respond to every single one of them. Please feel free to reach out. I'd love to know you.
Awesome. And then where can folks find out about Cubbi and then Pocketchange?
Probably also easiest just on my LinkedIn page, and then you can go there. But Cubbi is Cubbi app, so Cubbi app.com. And then Pocketchange is pocketchange.world. And yeah, both of them are there and give you all the information that you need.
Wow, that's awesome. Those are actually pretty cool domains. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on the Startup Wisconsin podcast. Want to support the show? Don't forget to subscribe and get updates. If you're feeling generous, you can share, rate, and review our podcast to help others find us. All right, folks, until next time, let's keep moving Wisconsin forward.